Okay, welcome everyone. Bienvenidos a todos los que están ahorita sincronizando esta charla. Bienvenidos también esta es la última parte de las charlas del JaveConf Perú. Luego tenemos el cierre. Espero que hayan disfrutado enteramente del día, que le estén pasando bien y que estén realmente disfrutando de cada una de las charlas y los expositores que están acá. Les recuerdo que es importante que aprovechen la experiencia de las personas que están dando las charlas y hagan todas las preguntas que necesitan hacer. Para esta parte, ahorita en este momento tenemos a Marco Schulz. Marco, por acá lo tenemos.
Hola.
Él habla un poco de español, pero pues
Más
la
o
charla
menos.
sí. La charla se va a hacer en inglés. Not sure if Schultz is the right way to pronounce your last name.
Absolutely, it's correct.
Okay, so he's gonna be talking about deploying things to Maven Central, deploying your projects. Because if you're actually working on an open source project, it's not just publishing your code to the GitHub and hoping someone will find it and will start using it. And it's not like that. There's a lot of things that you have to do after to actually make sure that the community is actually using and you're actually providing something to the community. And we're going to be talking about this here. Marco is going to be exposing. He has a lot of experience on this, so I'm going to leave you with him. And let's get started.
Yeah, hello. So we don't have that much time for this huge topic. So in this way, I'd like to jump very fast in what we're going to do. So as first, we are talking a little about repository managers in general, because a lot of companies, they utilize their own repository managers. During the years I'm working in several projects, I saw a lot of problems. They occur because some things was misunderstood. In this way, finally, when we are see how we configure our Maven project, how we are push later artifacts directly to Maven Central that other persons can use them. So let's start. There's a lot of environments. They have artifacts. Now in the Maven context, we're already here. There is artifacts. Everything is an artifact, and other systems like Docker deals with containers and with images, and npm have this JavaScript thing. I don't know so much about it, and .NET is dealing with NuGet. So what we have to keep in mind, there is different things. We have dependency management, that we are able to consume third-party libraries or other code. And we have our build management. Now, for example, in the Java universe, usually we use Maven or Gradle. I always recommend to use Maven because Maven is more educatable. You can do less mistakes because of the convention over configuration thing. In Gradle, you can do a lot of more things than in Maven, but Gradle can get very heavy. So if you don't have that much experience, could happen that after a while, your Gradle build system get too complex and you don't understand anymore what you did. It's like in the past with Ant. Now, when you was dealing in huge project with Ants with several modules and you may get an idea what I mean. So we here have now Maven as a build tool, creating our packages, and these packages we deploy with Maven to a repository server. First, we will do it locally, and then we will do it to Maven Central. So repository managers, they are not just made for Java artifacts, not like jar, var, or ERR. You can handle so many other types and environments, no? Like Docker, like npm, like Ruby gems, and even so many others, R, for example, too. Currently, there are existing two different type of repository managers, or two famous. No, one is JFrog Artifactory, and the other thing is Sonatype Nexus. If you ask me, what could be the best choice to host your own artifact server? I just mentioned Maven Central, the biggest open source repository, is hosted by Sonatype Nexus. So I don't need to say more about what kind of technology you should or you could choose. Artifact or repository managers, no? They are very important in your CD, CI infrastructure, because this enables you to speed up your builds, because they're working not just like storage. They are also helps you to reduce the artifacts you already create, and in this way, you can deal or you can optimize your build system extremely, because when this is able to fetch all the artifacts you already create, you don't need to depend on build jobs. There are multiple build jobs, no? So in this way, it's always a good thing to have your own repository manager. For example, here we have Nexus, Sonatype Nexus. This is almost current version. The actual version is 3.37. Here you see my local instance. Let's do it in real. Oh no, voila! You can see here. Let's make it big. We are in localhost. This is my repository manager. Nobody is logged in. Here I'm able to browse between the repositories. You can see here Docker, and you can see here NuGet. So very interesting is the Maven repositories. I can sort this. We have here third-part repository. This is when you have artifacts. They are not available in Maven Central. You can upload by your own to make them available as a dependency in your build project. So, but of course here you're not logged in. You cannot upload anything. It's for security. But you also can disable in these systems in a repository manager that the anonymous access is available. So then even the people don't see this entry, search, and browse. They are disappear when anonymous access is disabled. We see here Maven Central. This is a proxy repository. You can see that. A proxy repository is, like the name is a proxy for Maven Central. That means in our case, here there is just a few artifacts inside, because always when I run my build, the artifacts I don't have in this Nexus repository, it's get downloaded from Maven Central and stored here inside. And this repository, you see here, there is a lot of things inside now, for example, JUnit. And here you see what it means, GAF parameters. No? You have the group ID, you have the artifact ID, and you have the version number, and there you find the artifacts. This is why this coordinates so important, because this coordinates you need with upload to Maven Central 2. Now we see in this Nexus repository manager, we have several Maven repositories. Now, third party is hosted. That means currently here is nothing. All these artifacts I want to keep together. For this, we have here something like grouped. A grouped repository is nothing else than I can configure repositories of the same type, like here third-party Maven, Maven Central, Maven Release, and Maven Snapshot together in one. And when I want to consume, I just consume Maven Public, and then everything is together. This helps me a lot. And with this kind of structure, you can build so many interesting things for your company when you have different departments and you want to hide projects from other projects. Now, everything is possible with this. And this is just a repository manager. Sonatype have other solutions that gives you much more flexibility about licensing, about vulnerability checks, and. So in this way, now we have Maven public. You see here why we have Maven releases and Maven snapshots. It's very important. Let's go to our EDI. I have here a project called Together Platform Build Workflow. And you know, in Maven, when you deal with it here, you could write there minus snapshot. A snapshot is an artifact you still have in development, is not final. Because a release, when this is without snapshot, like it was before, 1.3.0, then we're talking about a release. And the release means this artifact is final. You cannot change there anymore anything. The coordinates, the gaf parameters, the version number, the binary, plus the hash keys, all this fit together, and you could not replace there anything, because this secures your build. No? Because when you want to rebuild your project other day, you want to have all the time the same result. So with snapshot, you don't have it. And in comparing here with the repository server, a snapshot repository contains artifacts. They happen, or they are not in build, not finished. They are not released. That means the same artifact can have different version, and the Nexus always deliver the last version. So let's do it to see, because a release repository, there happens something different. You cannot redeploy. When you already have an artifact in your release repository with these gaf parameters, then you will create a conflict and the deployment will not work. Okay, let's run here. NetBeans allows us to run, build, and clean and everything, but there is no way to run really a deploy. So how we could do that is not that difficult. We just go here to projects, select the project we want to deal with. In our case, the build workflow. And then we say here, run Maven. I already have there here something defined. I choose goal. Remember what I was talking in the previous presentation about Maven. Here I'm just say deploy. Not deploy, because that means I just call the deploy phase and the deploy goal. Here with deploy, I call the complete workflow. So this I write there. I can give there some adjustments, properties, profiles, and so on. We don't want. I could say, remember my deploy. And I just simply take away the typo and say, OK. And now the deployment is doing. In between, let's show here, when you go to run Maven, you see the deploy and the my deploy now occur. So you can use other times again. Here we see everything is success, and now we should see something in our repository server, in the local one, because we still not deploy to Maven Central. Browse. Voila. Now we have here Maven Snapshot. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. There is the build workflow in the version 1.3 snapshot. And also in the release, there's others, libraries, bundles, but you don't see the build workflow. If you put it together, remind IO, GitHub together, we can search now in Maven public. So let's go there to IO. Where is it? GitHub together. And now here comes together build workflow with our snapshot and the libraries as a release. So if I now redo the build, this will fail because our subdirectory I have here in the modules, libraries, is already released. That means this will cost me now, how to say, an error. I can overcome this error simply if I deactivate the call of the library. So now this will happen again. I can now run again deploy. Where is it? Maven, run Maven, deploy, my deploy is the same. What we are doing here, you see it's running. You can see here in the console how this is going now. Nexus OSS is called, and this goes to this IP address, my local IP address, repository name, snapshots. There is placed the artifact. And there we will see here again, if I do now a refresh, okay, go better to the snapshots. This goes more fast when I find it. It's here. So now you see there include two directories or two artifacts. If I'm now do this with release, everything can happen the same. So the biggest problem is now this anonymous user can do nothing. So I want now to delete, and usually should not able. You see, the repository is secure. Nobody can erase content or something. For this for this way, you have several roles you can create. And this here now, you can see here I have my Maven deployer is a role with some restrictions, because the Maven deployer cannot create artifact, cannot delete artifacts. The Maven deployer cannot create roles and permissions and this kind of things. So now I'm back here to Maven snapshots. Everything is fine there. I don't want to do anything. But in the Maven releases, to get away here the problem with the library, I'm just simply delete the folder. Now it works. As you see, sometimes this takes a little. We can here do a refresh perfectly. Now we have here our build workflow as a release, because there is no snapshot anymore. And we run it. Here, my deploy. Now all the artifacts get uploaded. It's done. And let's have a look here. Voila. And now you can see here the build workflow with 1.30, 1.3.0. The same is now with the snapshots, they're still there. And now imagine in your regular work, something could happen, because you're creating daily, or you perform every day 20, 30 builds, and you always upload here to the repository server. So this get quite full. And in this way, there exists something cleaning policies, most applicated here in Snapshot. This you can see there in the configuration, because I'm administrator. The deploy user cannot do that. So we should have here cleanup policies. There is cleanup snapshots for Maven for Maven. This tells us that we can delete artifacts that are older than 1 year, and just snapshot versions. And here you can get a bit more specified, no? Because you have to be a bit careful with this cleanup. When you have in your build process artifacts, they are not getting so often builded as a snapshot, but they are important for other artifacts, and you erase the snapshots. Could be problematic then. Your build will not pass through. So be a bit careful with the cleanup policies in the case there is something, but this kind of problems you can very fast detect. So the same now here you can see in security, we have here a user called Maven Deployer. And with this Maven Deployer, we are now doing our deployments. Okay, let's go back to the slide to see what happened there. Because this is the same like you do it in Maven Central. You have to understand there is a difference between release and snapshot. repositories. There is a way of repositories you consume in your build to take Maven plugins, to grab dependencies and so on. You consume is the way to your system. And after everything is done, you want to publish. So you can publish to several repositories. One thing is you can publish to your own repository server, or you publish, for example, to Maven Central. And of course, you can do it everything at once. So if you have the idea, you create a application or a library you want to publish in your repository server and also in Maven Central, you can do that at the same time, in the same step. So this is not a problem because you can add there more, how I'd say, tasks to do that, more servers. Okay, how we do that? Now, we need some entries. Okay, Maven have two configuration entries. One is the POM, Project Object Model, POM XML, in your repository, in your project, in your code. This you can see here. There, the POM. When I go to the files view of the directory, there is your library, and there is POM. Always in the root is the POM XML. And in this POM XML, I can have several entries. They are important for deployment. Doesn't matter if it's Maven Central or if it's your local company repository manager. So, as first, for consuming, you have to place repositories. And of course, you can add here several repositories, is one thing. So these repositories get an ID. This ID is binded to credentials. For just consuming, mostly, like, for example, Maven Central is a public repository server with anonymous access. As long as I have anonymous access, it's not problematic for me to just consume artifacts from this repository server in that way. You don't have to place any credential. If you have not an anonymous access and you want to consume from this repository server artifacts, then you have to go to your settings XML. Your settings XML is inside of your Maven installation. There is a directory called conf, and there you find a file called settings.xml. And there is a section called servers. And this section have to fit here the ID with this ID. And then, of course, you can place username and password to match here with this server. And then if this have an access and the role or the username exists and the password is correct, and this role have the allowance consume artifacts, then you're able to download from this repository dependencies to your project without any trouble. So this is one thing for consuming. Another thing is for delivering or for publishing. There you need in your POM a section called distribution management. It's also in the root. Here you configure the Snapshot repository. The repository is the release repository. This is what you can see here in our local. This is why I was paying so much attention to show you the difference between Maven releases and Maven snapshots. This is exactly this configuration. And of course, the same account can publish to both repositories. So this, in our case, is Nexus OSS with these credentials. That's all. If I want to publish a site, I have to register something like BetDev, where I can upload all these HTML reports. But this is not that urgent and very seldom done. Very important here is what you keep in mind is when you want to send or to deploy an artifact to your own Nexus, you can do that to hosted repositories. In our case, this can be Maven release, Maven third party, and Maven Snapshot. You cannot deploy to proxy, and you cannot deploy to group repositories. Group repositories are just for consuming, not for deployment. So this is a very common mistake you could do in your own infrastructure. In my previous talk, I was talking about there is Maven install and Maven deploy. So we see if you call Maven install, this is our local repository, the .m2 directory in your Maven installation, defined by your settings XML. You can change that. Instead, the remote repository is exactly here. What I defined there are the Nexus OSS, for example, can be Maven Central too, as you define that, or both. Because here repositories is possible to have many more entries. The same like here repositories, now you could include a bit more. And the important thing is that the ID have to fit here with the credentials. And in this way, if you have other login for your snapshots, of course, you have to place here another ID. So this is very important for the get the correct access to the system. So now we already was doing some local deployments to our own instance of Nexus. Another thing you can see here is we have now, in my role as admin, upload. And like you see, you just can go to hosted repositories, and usually you are not upload manually snapshots. This don't make sense because this don't have the security that everything stays fine. So I could now say, okay, in third party, I have an artifact, my own artifact I want to share with the whole company. It's very important that I can here search for the file. I simply place it. I will not do that here now directly. And I have to place now the group ID, the artifact ID, and the version. So this is our GAV parameters, our Maven coordinates. I have to define here very well. There I could also add some classifiers and extensions if you have it, but usually is not so necessary. It's not common that it's happened in your project. It's more if you have some Maven extensions and you want to share on plugins. So this could be now a local upload to your own Nexus repository manager. Keep in mind, we have here the access of repository, distribution manager, and servers. Consuming the repository, taking the credentials, and deploy artifacts. So the next step is when we want to go to Maven Central, as first, of course, we have to verify that the code or the artifacts we deploy is our work, how we could do that. There is two ways. One thing is you have a public source repository, GitHub, Gitblit, whatever. There is so many solutions you could choose. In our case, will be the most common GitHub. So there you have your GitHub account. Your source code is inside of GitHub. So this is the first important thing, that you are able to verify the domain is yours, the project is yours, and you are able to deploy with this Maven coordinates artifacts to Maven Central, because this should secure abuse. That no hackers coming, replacing artifacts, they sound similar, and then you consume by accident in your project, and you have there some backdoors, no? So there is a lot of security in behind, and this is why the rules for deploy to Maven Central are so strict. One thing is have an GitHub account. Another thing is you could have your own domain, your website. Now, like me, elmar.com. There I could make a verification process that the guys of Sonatype really could trust me. This domain belongs to me, and I'm able to deploy in this name, in this context. No? So I cannot create something like gunit5.com, and then I say I want to publish artifacts for JUnit5. No? So this is secure. Okay, the next thing is, in our case, we will deal with Maven as a build tool to create our artifacts from the source code. To deploy to Maven Central, you need 3 artifacts to publish. This is your project itself, the jar you create, have to include the sources jar and the Javadoc. And all these 3 artifacts have to get signed. And then you're allowed to upload to Maven Central. If one of the other conditions is not fitted, you cannot. So this is the regular process. Now you have your EDI, you have your source code. The source code is available somehow public, and then you can start a process to ask for deployment to Maven Central. You have to prepare your project that you get these results. Now, as first, you have to create the Javadocs. In Maven, you can do that here very easily with the Javadoc plugin. This is a regular instruction to get the Javadoc jar. Just place it in your build in the direction or in the way of plugin management, not plugin, in the plugin section of your build section, and then it's available. The same here with source. In this way, you create the sources directory. And of course, then depends what you're using, Java or ERR. There you can create your library, your application, and so on. Another thing is for GB or for signing your artifacts, you have to use the Maven GPG plugin. And there you can see you configure this very easy with your key name and your secret token. Place also this 4 plugins in your build lifecycle included. Then it's going everything automatically. Then you just have to prepare the process to get all these 3 artifacts. The next step you have to do is a registration in Sonatype. You have to go to Sonatype. We have it here. This is the issues, the issue management of Sonatype. I have all the links in a reference in the slides, and the slides I will publish later by Twitter. You get the link, and then you find all these resources. So you have here, you create a new issue, Jira, typically, say what you want. You have here your project URL, where you say what you do, where is the source control management that they are able to check. And then you can just say, okay, I'd like to create a new blah. That's all. And they check it. Really, in this issue, if all the prerequisites are done. That means that you have the project in GitHub and that you own it, because they fit it together with the email address and everything. So if you don't have it, it's problematic, because they don't give you simply access. Once it's done, then they tell you later here, okay, Central Sync is activated and you can start. Then you can log in with these same credentials from Jira Sonatype to the oss-sonatype.org. This is the nexus for Maven Central. Here you can see I'm already logged in, and here's the file upload. This is one thing. But before you now start to upload your files, you have to do something else, because your POM need to fit other information. So as first, you have to put name, description. Inception year is not necessary, but I always like to do that because then the people get an idea how long the project is running. Project URL can be your website or can be your GitHub, as you want. Then your gov parameters, of course. Here in a release version, you have to add the source control management. You can see here my source control management of GitHub. You have to add yourself as a developer, where the people are able to reach you. Name and email usually is sufficient, and very important, the license. In my case, everything I do in GitHub and in Maven Central is always Apache 2 license for use for commercial. When you have this additional in your POM, then minimum you are able to create artifacts. But just the artifacts is not sufficient because of the time I just mentioned. You have to install in your system GBG. Here is a cryptographic tool. With this, you are able to create your security tokens where you can sign your artifacts. I don't want to go now in this topic because this can takes a very long and is a bit difficult, but look here in the references. You see here there is publishing requirement, GPG. It's very well explained how you create a correct security token for signing your artifacts. And here is also, of course, all I'm talking about now together as a help file, so you can step through in the case they change sometimes. Other thing is here, you see the Nexus repository server you can download. Exists also a Docker container. This is the search for Maven Central, where you can verify if your artifacts still there. Issue Sauna type is you have to register for creating your account, and OSS Sauna type is then the upload address for your for your Nexus to upload. And there are two ways. No, you can upload manually and you can upload automatically. But I recommend you in the first times do it just manually, not like I was showing here with these commands. Because in the case of some failures, if you do it manually, you get better ideas what has happened there. Later when you are firm, do it. Of course, then with your continuous integration server automatically. So let's go ahead from the signing, because this is really, in my perception, the most terrible thing in all the process. Here you see already the Nexus repository artifact upload, the staging for Maven Central. Go back here to the live systems. You see, is the same. Voila. As first, when you are in Maven Central, this is here search Maven org. You could verify if your project is available. In my case, is GitHub. All together. And there you see here something, libraries, bundles, in release versions. You see here other bundles, and here you see here the core. Another thing is you could see the build workflow now is here in version 1.2. This we want to upgrade. Yesterday by accident, I already uploaded the libraries, so I will just simply typing and talking is not that easy. So you can see here the libraries is already in 1.3. So I happened yesterday, 26th of November. The others are much more older. So I cannot re-upload libraries because you already see what that means with releases and snapshots. So in our case now, I go here back to the project. Is this one here, build workflow? I have here now the version 1.3. I already upload locally. I want to secure that I don't any mistake with libraries. So this is not now anymore touched. Here you can see all the properties. Also, you can see here the SCM entry here in the plugin management. I have quite down the deploy plugin, where I can just start my regular deployment. And of course, I can use the Nexus staging plugin. This is very helpful in the case I'm here using deployment to Maven Central. Why? Because we have there a staging process, because they validate if the signatures is correct and all the other things. So in this way, very important, I have to create here credentials that these credentials are in my settings XML, and when they are available, I could deploy. So I cannot show you the credentials because they are real, but I can show you here something else. You see the plugin management and the plugin section. Plugins, we can go here a little more comfortable. Here you see in the navigator is built. There is the plugin management. There we have the Nexus staging. And here in plugins, we go down to the deploy. There is no Nexus staging. I just simply add like this. And now when I run Maven deploy, it will fail. Why? Because I don't have the credentials of the Nexus staging currently activated. So let's do it. Maven, where it is? Okay, I have to go here back to project. It's always the same. And then run Maven deploy. So I will get several errors because I also have locally, yeah, you can see here artifact deployment failed because build workflow from Nexus OSS to this local, it already exists. This we can overcome quite easy because we just simply erase, go back here to Maven releases, select the most on top, delete folder, jawohl. Wait a little because sometimes it takes, yeah, you see. Now it's done. Now if I execute again, Maven deploy. So now I deploy locally. This you can see here to this repository. And here still we have another issue because build fail. Why? Like I told you, execution deploy to Sauna type Nexus OSS because the credentials are not there. So I will run here this in a how to say, in an automatic way. I have for this a plugin on profile called releases. There we could have a look on it. What means releases? So where there should be the profiles, properties. Here are the profiles, and there is the releases, and there you can see enforcer, no snapshots, very important. Compiler, Jurfire test have to pass sources, Javadoc, and here the signature, the signing. Some properties, the other profile. So if I run this now, and in the background, I do in the other screen activate my settings. So release, and now I can say run Maven deploy. And this should now happen, but no, for some reason not. What is missing? Of course, I have to erase again. Voila. And this is what it means, no? Redeploy artifacts, they're already there. Is a bit a pain if you want to demonstrate this kind of things, but it's very important to have this thing activated in your real environment. If not, really you could have so many problems they could occur. Deploy. So we are almost coming to an end. You see here staging, and this happened now here in the Nexus itself. One thing is a bit sad, we cannot verify this success now, because what we deploy now to Maven Central needs mostly a few hours that it gets synchronized with the Maven Central itself. So tomorrow, if you go here, we wait here in this time a little. Tomorrow, if you come back there to GitHub Together, here you can see the build workflow should be then updated to the version 1.3. But yeah, this don't happen currently, but we see the last time happened last year. And now I was getting an email from Maven Central. May I could show it, because they are often, oops. So, like this looks the email when it's arrived. Sauna type have reviewed your dependencies. Everything is fine. Maybe we could check the report, what we did there. And this is the automatically deployment. If you want to do that manually, then you go here to the repository manager. You just go here, staging upload. Then you select your upload mode. This you don't have here. You see? There is no upload mode because it's the open source version of Sauna type repository manager. And if you want to have more functionality, you have to buy a license, like always. So here, I always recommend use with POM, because we already have the POM. We select the POM, we upload. In my case now is here in workspace, together platform, configuration management, build workflow, target. And then you can see here is our POM and the signature of POM. So this we select the POM. The POM detects here the necessary artifacts. This I was too quick. This we have to select. So, and then just say here add artifact, because if not, it's problematic. Because when you have upload a little more, then you always override it, and they are not here in the list. This is all. Here in this case, it's just a POM. What I create, you say then upload artifacts. Now in the background, start a validation process. Probably it will fail because we already have 1.3.0 released. So in general, this is the standard process to shift or to bring your artifacts to Maven Central. So I hope you was seeing a lot. In this case here, you can see this will not work because the problem is we already upload to Maven Central automatically with our staging. So if you have some questions, feel free to ask. Thanks a lot for watching my presentation, and yeah, you can find me in Twitter or write me an email if you have more questions to do all this procedure, because sometimes it get a bit tricky. No escucha.
I'm sorry, I was on mute again.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was just saying that thank you for this awesome presentation. There was this security thing that I didn't know about Phenotype. This process that you were talking about to make sure that the package you're uploading is actually the package you own, and that's a great thing to have, because that way developers will be feel more comfortable downloading or using libraries that they know that actually someone is checking at them. So
this happened to me, because this is why I'm talking very specifically about it, because I was having other domain and other GAF parameters, and they was making me a lot of pooling.
Yeah, that's crazy. So if you wanna, can you, just for the audience, resume the most important parts of what is needed to deploy to Maven Central? Like you already said that we need a source code. There's our source code to be public. What are the other ones?
Exactly. The most easy way is to have your source code public in GitHub. The second is you have to improve your Maven POM file in the case you deal with Maven. Gradle is quite equal with other plugins. Prepare your POM with the plugins you need to create the source code jar, to create a Javadoc jar, and to sign your artifacts. The GPG is very important. Then extend your POM with additional information about the source code repository, about yourself, about the license, very important license. This have to be by force included other information. And then sign your artifacts. Just simply run your POM. And then you have to create in Sauna type an account in Jira. And when they confirm your account after the checking, you have access with the same login to Sauna type OSS to upload your artifacts. And the first time, do it manually. Very recommendable, do it manually, because this takes a little time to get fluent with it, and later then go to automatic process.
Yeah, that's a good tip. The other thing is, let's say that I'm starting to build a project and I think that this could be something useful for the community. When do you suggest start uploading the project to Maven Central? Should I start as soon as I get the project that I think is done, or should I wait for some time, or what do you think about it?
Start when you have the first usable release. Because you start. This is another thing. I was giving so many talks about my opinion about semantic versioning, about API designing, and other things. I'm really a big fan of semantic versioning. When I start a project, I always start 1.0 minus snapshot. And if I have a functionality like other persons can use it somehow, no? Then I could say, okay, this could be the first release I want to publish, 1.0.0. And when I able to create this artifact, the tests are passing, then you can start the process to create your Maven Central access and deploy it. Before, don't make really so much sense. But it's like a
Indeed.
regular release process.
Indeed. Yeah, now that you mentioned something very important there, you say the tests are passing. Is there any check for the maturity of the project when you're, I mean, I have my project, I want to put that because I think it's gonna be useful. Um, but I want to put it on Maven Central and I know that they are gonna check it. What are the checks? Is there any matureness or do I have
No,
to meet? No?
the only thing what they are checking if you have some security issues. But
Okay,
your logic, your business functionality, nobody cares.
I see.
Yeah, because how? They don't know. This would be something artificial intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the thing is, maybe I should prepare a nice talk how to come to test driven, but Maven supports you very well in this test driven process. Always when you include there your JUnit and all the other test frameworks, no, you need for your always configure the Zofire or the FileSafe plugin as a release profile like I have to say when a test fail, stop the release. This is most secure what you can do. Of course, in the daily business, when you are programming something and you are develop an algorithm, you don't want that always this stop because sometimes your build fail in a test case because depends on other test case, but is not already passed. In this way, in your daily process, you want to see all the problems. Then you can decide, okay, where I have to check why this occur.
Indeed, it's a matter of designing your project, making sure it's reliable for others if you want to share it, right?
Yeah, just simply go to GitHub, everything, Elmer Dot. In GitHub, everything is there available. And currently I'm working in release 3.0 is a migration from Java 8 to Java 11. And yeah, a big API change, and maybe in 2 or 3 months I'm done to make the next release.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so we don't have any more questions. Just want to say thank you again. It was awesome listening to this talk and learning a little bit of how to publish. Most of the Java developers are, I won't say most, but there's a lot of Java developers that are just working on private projects and they're not publishing anything. So they
yeah.
actually
This
are
is
for me the
sadly. There is so great GitHub projects, and you check in Central, well, it's not published.
yeah, exactly. So there you go. And well, again, it's good to learn about how do we have to proceed when we want to publish something and all that. So
Yeah.
hope everyone that is gonna be watching this, that is watching this right now, and is gonna be watching this on
Yeah.
YouTube or Twitch later on, enjoy this talk. And I guess if they have any questions, they can get to you, right?
Just drop me a mail. Just contact me in Twitter, Elma Dot. Yeah, if you have there your public project, I try to help you as much as possible.
So thank you very much again. So that's all we have for now, and bye bye.
Bye bye. It was my pleasure to be there. Bye.